Assalamu alaikum dear student. Today in this video I will explain the instrumentation of atomic mission spectroscopy. I am Dr. Tahar Mahmood. Now component of the atomic emission spectroscopy. First one is sample delivery system, burner and flame sources, monochromatometer, detector, and the last one is readout devices. This is the diagram how spectrophotometer look like. Diagrammatic representation. First, this is the sample which we want to analyze. And this sample is sucked through an auxiliary action and goes into an chamber that is called annualization, in which we use fuel gas and oxidant, which convert into droplets. And after droplet nebulizer convert this fuel gas, oxidant and solution in a mixing chamber. The droplets which are in greater size will be drained out and which are in smaller size will go into the burner. And after burner it goes on to the flame and ionization will be take place of the sample. And after emission this light goes into lens which convert into filter, and after filter it goes to the photodetector and it will detect the signal and give to the amplifier and then read out devices. So this is the simple representation of atomic emission spectroscope. Different methods are available for the sample which are used to introduce into mixing chamber. First, pneumatic nebulizer, ultrasonic nebulization, electrothermal and hydride generation. These methods are used for solution or slurry form if our sample are present in liquid solution or in slurry form. But direct insertion or laser ablation, which are mostly used for if our sample are in solid powder form or solid metal form, then laser ablation and direct insertion will be used. Spark or arc ablation and glow discharge sputtering is also used for conducting solids. So these are the methods which we select on the basis of type of the sample. Sample delivery system, the first component of the flame emission spectroscope. This is the part of the sample delivery system in which liquid droplets of the comparatively large size are broken or converted into smaller size. The process in which sample changes into mist, a very fine droplet, with the aid of compressed gas. This process is called nebulization. And there are different types of nebulizer which are used for this purpose: pneumatic nebulizer, electrothermal, ultrasonic nebulizer. The first sample delivery system consists of different components including used for the liquid sample. Nebulizer, it break up the liquid into small droplets. Here you can see that the function of the nebulizer. The flow carries the sample into the atomization region, and this is the atomization region, and mostly used is pneumatic nebulizer. Aerosol modifier, it remove large droplet from the stream and allow only small droplet then a certain size to pass. So this is the function of aerosol modifier which we are used, and it convert an analyte into free atom and then go here which convert this sample into free form of the solvent. 4 type are used for pneumatic nebulizer: cross flow, concentric, fritted, and Bagni tone. First nebulizer pneumatic type is cross flow. In cross flow nebulizer, the stream jet flow right angle to the capillary tube. As you see in this diagram, this is the sample and this is the organ gas. So gas come here which are perpendicular to the sample inlet. So this is the major diagram how it works. It is used as a high-speed stream of gas perpendicular to the tip of the sample capillary for the formation of a mist or tiny droplets. Concentric tube are also used for this purpose. The liquid sample is sucked through a capillary tube by high pressure jet of gas flow around the tip of the capillary tube. So this is the sample and this is the gas. It will suck the sample by a capillary action and goes to the atomizer. This is also the diagram of a concentric nebulizer. The high velocity breaks the sample into mist and carries it to the atomization region. Third one is Bebington. It is also the type of pneumatic nebulizer. The jet is pumped through a small orifice in a sphere on which a thin film of the sample flows. Actually, this is the spherical shape of the Bebington. Here the sample will fall it and it will flow freely on this surface. And this is insert organ gas and this is a small orifice from which this gas inject the sample and convert into a aerosol with high pressure. Flow freely over small aperture rather than passing through a fine capillary tube. So here this is the main sample source. Fritted or coarse disc. In this, from top the sample solution or fall on this fritted disc, and from this side we will inject the high pressure gas which flow and which will convert sample into a tiny droplet which will go into further atomizer, and those which are not converted into smaller size will be drained out. So this is fritted or coarse disc. Coarse means they have some space. The next type is electrothermal vaporizer. An electrothermal vaporizer contains an evaporator in a closed chamber through which an inert gas carries the vaporized sample into the atomizer. So this is a closed electrothermal vaporizer. Here a carrier gas flow which will carry the sample and convert into vaporized form and then go to the atomizer. So this is electrothermal vaporizer. This is the original shape of the electrothermal vaporizer. Ultrasonic nebulizer. In ultrasonic nebulizer, this is piezoelectric transducer which are convert acoustic wave. This acoustic wave called piezoelectric current, which will convert the sample into small aerosol, and this will convert it into homogeneous form. So this is better than pneumatic nebulizer. Next component is the burner, and different types of burner are used depending upon the nature of the sample and its concentration. Meeker burner, total consumption, premix, Landgraf, shielded nitroxide ester. So different 6 types of burner are used in atomic emission spectroscopy. First one, this is the diagram of Meeker burner. This is generally first used with the aid of natural gas and oxygen as a fuel oxidant. The temperature produced by this flame is generally used for those elements which have low ionization energy like alkali metal. Nowadays it is not used because it was best suited for alkali metal and other metal cannot be detected by this burner. Second one is total consumption burner. Due to high pressure of fuel and oxidant, the sample solution is aspirated through capillary and burnt at the tip of the burner. So this is the oxygen and fuel. Both goes with the sample analyzed. So it will convert all the sample into the top of the burner tip where it is atomized. Hydrogen and oxygen are generally employed as fuel and oxidant. Advantage over the entire consumption of the sample and the production of non-uniform flame and turbulent in total consumption burner. Premix burner, as you know what premix mean, we have to premix sample and oxidant and fuel. So this is the fuel, oxidant and sample. They are first mixed with each other. The main advantage of it is uniformity of the flame produced. The main disadvantage is the heavy loss of mix-up of 95%. Most of the sample will be drained out and small amount of the sample will go out to the flame in premix burner. Nitric oxide acetylene flame. The flame was superior to the other flame for effectively producing free atom because it have higher temperature. Metal with a very reflective oxide such as aluminium and tantalum. The drawback of it is high temperature reduces usefulness for the determination of alkali metal because they are easily analyzed with simple temperature. So high temperature will cause excitation and other problem of the other metal. Shielded burner. This flame is shielded from ambient atmosphere by a stream of inert gas. Shielding is done to get better analytical sensitivity and quieter flame. So this is the diagram of shielded burners which are used in flame emission spectroscopy. Lithograph burner. In this burners, sample and air is mixed in a chamber. So this is the fuel and this is the auxiliary oxidant. And send it to the fuel nozzle where it is atomized. Here sample reach only 5% to the burner. And now it is very important to understand the structure of the flame. Actually, flame is divided into four major parts. First, preheating zone, then primary reaction zone, interconal zone, secondary reaction zone. So these flame are divided into four parts when the sample is reached at the this atomizer form. One by one I will explain. Preheating zone. In this, combustion mixture is heated to the ignition temperature by thermal conduction from the primary reaction zone. It will mostly remove the solvent. Primary reaction zone, this zone is about 0.1 mm thick at atmospheric pressure. There is no thermodynamic equilibrium in this zone and the concentration of the ion and free radical is very high. So this part is not used for the quantitative analysis of flame photometry. This is very important in flame emission spectroscopy. Interconal zone. It can extend up to considerable height. The maximum temperature is achieved just above the tip of the inner zone. This zone we will use for flame photometry. Secondary reaction zone. The product of the combustion process are burnt to stable molecular species by the surrounding air. So it will form different type of oxides. What are the process occur in this flame? This is our first sample liquid which will we get through with the nebulizer, and nebulizer, after that solvent is removed. The process in which solvent is removed is called desolvation. And after the sample liquefaction takes place, and after liquefaction it is converted into vaporized form and the metal are free from the solvent. Then atomization, excitation and at last ionization. When our metal atom are excited and they go back to ground state, that amount of energy is noted, that is called emission. So desolvation, metal particles are dehydrated and the solvent is evaporated. In vaporization process, it is also led to the evaporation of the solvent. Then atomization, reduction of metal ion in the solvent to metal atom by the flame of heat. The atom jump to the excited energy state. That process is called excitation. And at last, our main topic, emission. Then when atom jump back to the stable low energy state with the emission of energy in the form of radiation of characteristic wavelength which we will detect. That is emission process. Different kinds of fuel and oxidant are used depending upon the analyte we want to determine. Simple gas with air, propane, butane, acetylene, and its temperature from 1700 to 2200. But if we use different oxidants like oxygen and nitroxide, then we will increase its temperature. So different other metal like heavy metal can be determined by using flame emission spectroscopy. But majorly flame emission spectroscopy is used to determine alkali and alkaline earth metal in different samples. Next one is the mirror. Mirror actually used for the radiation to fall on the entrance slit. Different concave mirror are used for this purpose. Monochromator, different type of monochromator are used which convert polychromatic light into monochrome. Mean different polychromator mean having different wavelength which will convert into single wavelength, that is called a monochromator. For this purpose we will use prism and grating. Nowadays grating is more important for the conversion of polychromatic light into monochromatic light. This is prism which convert polychromatic light into monochromatic. Only single wavelength will be fall on exit slit. And this is diffraction grating which will convert different type of wavelength and it will fall only the single wavelength. Then detector, photomultiplier tube, photoemissive cell and photovoltaic cell are generally used in flame emission spectroscopy. Photomultiplier tube is also abbreviated as PMT. Intensity of the light is fairly low, so photomultiplier tube generally used to boost up the signal intensity. As you see in this diagram, only small intensity of the light fall on the first plate, but then it will increase its signal and multiply it. So at the end detector we will get number of higher intensity of the signal and it easily be detected. A special type of transducer is used to generate voltage from the pigment of the electron generated by the photomultiplier tube. Then photovoltaic cell, it has a thin metallic layer coated with silver or gold which act as an electrode. Also has a metal base plate which act as another electrode, mean cathode and anode are present in photovoltaic cell. Two layers are separated by a semiconductor layer of selenium. When light radiation fall on selenium layer, they will create potential difference and a glow will be formed. So this is the diagram of photomultiplier tube. This is photoemissive cell. This is cathode on which incident light fall and it will emit electron and it will go on to the anode and galvanometer show the dielectric. This is photovoltaic cell. N-type silicon and P-type silicon are coated. So this is the three detectors which are used in flame emission spectroscopy. This is the other element which can be determined by using flame emission spectroscopy: aluminium, barium, calcium, copper, having their wavelength and their detection limit, which can be determined by using, if we use flame other than atomic, simple methane gas and air. If we use acetylene with nitric oxide, then we can determine this element also. This is the diagram which now I will explain again. This is the sample in the form of liquid. It is compressed air supply, it is compressed fuel gas. There are two components which we will provide. Compressed air goes into mixing chamber and then mixing chamber convert into tiny droplet in the form of aerosol which will go onto the flame, and here atomization take place and then ionization, and it will convert into the excited. And when it go to the ground state, they will emit certain characteristic energy, and it will go to the lens, then slit, filter, and then go to the photodetector which will detect the signal and then show a display in the form of absorption or concentration or transmittance which we want to determine. So this is all about instrumentation in flame emission spectroscopy. Thank you very much.